What's up, YouTube? This is Bystander X79. Alright, guys, it's that time of year again. We're going to be doing ban list predictions for the upcoming ban list that's going to be happening at the end of the month. As you can see, the next ban list is no sooner than March 30th of this month. March 30th, this happens to be a Monday, so I definitely can see this ban list dropping that day, just maybe a few days short of the April Master Rule revision going into effect. Alright? And for those of you who are not knowing about the Master Rule revision, once the revision goes into effect, Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz monsters are no longer bound to the zones opened up by Link monsters. You can special summon them to the extra monster zone or any other main monster zone you want, which is definitely going to unleash a lot of Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz spam decks into the meta. To be very honest, with the way Konami was a bit heavy-handed on the January list, they're going to need to be a little bit heavy-handed on this list to get ahead of a lot of the problems that could be caused by the revision, and basically just getting that stuff out of the game right now. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to turn around and tell you right now, we are going to go after decks that are big in the meta, as well as doing a lot of preemptive stuff as well. All right? So, first up, as always, we're going to do our bans, and that's going to be, the first one on the list is Lunar Tiger. The primary reason why this card is on the list is basically because of its pendulum effect. Once per turn, you can target one Lunar Light monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but it cannot attack. Its effects are negated, and it's also destroyed during the end phase. This is not a hard once per turn. It's actually a soft once per turn. You can actually keep placing this card in the pendulum zone and keep reutilizing this effect. That's what makes the Lunar Light combo decks so important, is basically because of this card alone. All right, putting this card to 0 solves that issue. The Lunar Light deck really isn't that much of an issue after that, so it's definitely a smart hit to put that engine into check. The next card helps put another deck that's big in the meta right now, and that's Spirals. And Master Plan needs to go to be banned. All right. Basically because of the Magician's Double Soul, basically sending it to the graveyard, allowing you to add Spiral Resort or a Spiral monster from your deck to your hand, except for itself. Putting this card to 0 is basically going to take that deck out of action, because you're removing a lot of the key sorcery card that helps you get into other cards for your combo. And personally, I know they're not going to touch Double Souls, but this card definitely needs to be removed from the equation. And once we do that, we're also going to be doing Gardrick and LP. This card needs to be banned. Listen, any card that special summons from the deck historically either goes to 1 or is banned. We saw it happen to Mirage Stallion last list. To be very honest, Guard Dragon Rockets are definitely picking up steam in the meta. And to be very honest, the Guard Dragon engine has been around for over a year right now, and it's time to put the engine out to pasture. Ban LP. Pisses are right, because it revives cards from the graveyard or ban its own, so you know what your opponent's getting back, and you can at least plan around that. LP, on the other hand, no. It needs to be removed from the game, and personally, I can't wait for it to be. All right? So moving on, the next card that needs to be hit, and this is part of the preemptive strikes now for the list, is going to be Blackwing Steam the Cloak. The primary reason why Steam the Cloak is on the forbidden list over in the OCG is basically because of Needle Fiber and the fact that it's also a token generator. This card actually survived the purge TCG Konami did with the token generator cards. When this card leaves the field, you generate a token, and from there you can use that token to link climb up again. Not very good, especially when you have Needle Fiber bringing it out and just allowing you to climb further with its token generator capabilities. It needs to be banned. And the same thing can be said about Golobob. Golobob is just another great extender, just allowing you to basically link climb like crazy and utilizing it in with Needle Fiber. And since Needle Fiber is coming out later this month, yeah, we're going to see these hits happen here in the TCG now. Now, speaking of Needle Fiber, guys, gotcha, guys. Not on the ban list, primarily because it isn't that much of a problem card. This card, on the other hand, Yeah, it is a problem card, primarily because it's needle fiber on steroids. Needle fiber only brings out one level 3 or lower tuna monster, while this card can bring back out as many synchron tuna monsters with different levels from your deck in defense position, just allowing you to build into bigger synchro boards. And with the revision, in fact, yeah, that's going to mean massive synchro boards just off the start. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you can just negate it and stuff like that." Well, that's if you're going first or if you have a negate in hand. If you're not going first and you don't have that in hand, what then? Your opponent's going to have the board. This card needs to be removed from the game. End of story. All right. Putting it to one does nothing, considering that we just got part of our risk back. Meaning, if this card, is put to one, you can just go off with the plays, use part of our risk, recycle this card as well as many synchron tuners as you want back into your deck, draw 2 cards, and you basically have the recursion capability back. All right. This card needs to be removed. End of story. That's it. All right. Next card in the ban list, Dark Strike Fighter. Now you're probably wondering, well, why Dark Strike Fighter? I mean, it has a once per turn, a hard once per turn clause on it when it got reprinted. The primary reason is basically because there is an FTK with this card in the deck. It's centered around summoning out Mecha Venom Beast, a level 4 Mecha Venom Beast with multiple tokens, getting it to level 13, and then utilizing the Galaxy spell that can basically turn all other monsters on the field into the level of the targeted monster. So you target the level 13, make it Venom Beast, you turn all the tokens into level 13 monsters. All those monsters then combine into, with the Mecha Venom Beast's level, to basically make like a level 42 card. Dark Strike Fighter tributes it off, multiplies the level 42, or 43, excuse me, by 200, and you get 8,600 points of effect damage right there. So there you go. There's an FTK. I'm going to have a card flashing while I'm talking about this particular card being banned. Up in the right hand corner, it has a link to my Blue Eyes White Dragon YGO replay video. The last deck that my Blue Eyes deck plays against is this FTK deck. So guys, and I go through it step by step of what the deck can do. So guys, just please use that link, find out what the deck can do, so we can be prepared for it. All right, especially if Konami doesn't want to get ahead of this particular FTK. I hope they do. All right, moving forward, Cannon Soldier, and this is going to be going for Toon Cannon Soldier as well as Cannon Soldier Mark II and Amazoness Archer. And the primary reason why is basically with all the spam decks ready to come out into the game. To be very honest, you know damn well there's going to be some sick degenerate fuck out there that's going to be able to create an FTK with these cards. It's better to get ahead of that problem and just get rid of these cards altogether. So we can remove FTKs from the Master Rule Revision, and we don't have to worry about dealing with a format of FTKs again. All right, so that is pretty much it for my bans. We're going to head into the limits, and the first one I'm doing is Danger Mothman. Okay, now the primary reason why Danger Mothman I'm putting it at 1 is basically because it's just too good in rank 4 decks. Whether you're special summoning to the field, you're getting a drawer. If it hits the graveyard, you're going to be getting another drawer and fixing your hand. And this helping set up the play. Having this card and multiple copies is just too good in rank 4 decks. It needs to be put to 1. This to help keep those rank 4 decks in check. All right. Next card, Soul Eating Oviraptor. Dinosaurs are getting pretty big in the current meta. We saw 2 members of the winning team at the 3-on-3 YCS in Las Vegas. 2 of those members were running True King Dinosaurs. Putting Soul Eating Oviraptor at 1, definitely a very smart hit for the deck. Hits that consistency, and it puts the deck in a bit of a check, and will also allow other things to come off the list. All right. The other card that I'm putting back unlimited is Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Very honest, there are hand loop synchro decks out there that can actually make use of this card to rip cards out of your hand and basically leave you starting with either 1 or nothing. To be very frank, this card needs to go back to 1 to put those hand loop decks into check. Now, I am giving stuff back bringing stuff back off the ban list, and I am bringing back Zodiac Trident. I mean, Trident 1 really isn't doing anything in the OCG. And yes, does have a quick effect that can pop monsters off the field. But to be very honest, it turns Zodiac into more of a Protect the Castle style deck, just to protect this card and this single copy from doing anything. And in my opinion, it's all right to come back right now, as long as they move something else up to 1 in the Zodiac deck, and we'll get to that in a bit. Right now we have 2 links. Crystalline Needle Fiber. I know what it says on the screen. It's always going to be Needle Fiber to me. Now here's the situation with Needle Fiber. It isn't the effects that are overwhelmingly overpowered. It makes this card so degenerate, is having access to multiple copies. That was the main issue. When the OCG put this card in 1, the degeneracy stopped. All right, so you can definitely turn around and see putting this card in 1 is not going to hurt the sales of Dual Overload. People are still going to want this card, even with 1 copy in their extra deck. It's still going to do a lot of things. Putting this card in 1 is perfect sense, and it's a great strategy going forward, just to curb any degeneracy that would happen moving forward after the Master Rule revision. All right, the other card that needs to be put to 1 before the Master Rule revision is Sarush's Skull Dread. There are too many spam decks out there that can actually just make use of this card, basically to fix their hand, get a free special summon, and then continue their plays. This card needs to be put to 1. It can't keep step dodging the ban list anymore. TCG Konami needs to deal with this card before the revision goes into effect. Otherwise, spam decks are just going to get too out of control. All right. Now moving on into the spells, I am putting Zodiac Barrage to 1, primarily because this card and Trident and 1 keeps the cancer of Zodiac out of the meta. The Zodiac players will still have their deck, it's just that they won't be able to use it consistently, and I think that's a good idea. All right. Magical Meltdown is another card that I'm actually putting at 1, primarily because we're seeing a lot more play with the Invoked engine in the deck. Having such a powerful and splashable fusion-based engine is not a good thing to have when going into the revision. It's just going to mean that there's going to be decks that can throw out cards that can just shut down you from using effects or even attacking with 1 monster once per turn, having multiple negates built onto the board. It's just not a good idea to have post-revision, and it needs to go down to 1. And I'm also putting Invocation in this. The primary reason why is basically because it's extremely searchable. The current Invoked engine basically runs 3 copies of Meltdown, Invocation, and Alistair. Opening with either Meltdown or Alistair, you're going to wind up with a way to get into Invocation if you don't have it in your opening hand. To be very honest, putting this card at 1 makes perfect sense, especially since it can recycle itself back in the deck and give you back Alistair, which can then allow you to search it out again by normal summoning Alistair. All right? So, yes, both these cards go down to 1. I'm also bringing back Harpy's Feather Duster. It's limited in OCG. I mean, it'll be a great card to have against back row centric decks, especially if you can't afford something like Lightning Storm. And this, unlike Lightning Storm, where Harpy's Feather Duster doesn't require you to have no face-up cards on the field, or your opponent, or it can only hit up face-up cards on your opponent's field. This card will be able to turn around and just drop on the field, clear your opponent's board, and that'll be it. All right, putting it at 1 is just like putting Raigeki at 1. It's going to be quote unquote necessary evil at first, but odds are I don't see the major impact in the game unless we get into a really heavy back row deck format. All right, and the last card that I'm putting on the limited list is going to be Rekindling. Oh god, this card in level decks is just insane. What this card in level decks is basically a soul charge. Allowing you to special summon from your graveyard as many fire monsters with 200 defense as possible. This card doesn't have a once per turn clause, and basically without that, level decks can pump out boards of multiple Quasars and a Cosmic Blazar Dragon, which is basically at least 4 monsters with 4K attack and negates built in. All right, 1 Quasar is pretty easy to deal with, but when you have multiples, then you start getting into some really problematic situations. Putting this card on one is going to put that problem out of the meta. They'll still be able to get maybe like 1 or 2 Quasars, but still, it's a lot more easier than having to deal with 4. All right, moving on to the semi-elements. You guys should have seen this coming. I put Alistair the Invoker to 2. I know, if memory serves correctly, Alistair the Invoker did do some time on the limit or semi-limit list. Opening with this card in your hand gives you into Invocation, and basically because I put both Invocation and Magical Meltdown to 1, you're still going to have 3 ways to get into Invocation. It's just that it's going to really put the consistency of that engine in check. And it's just going to allow Fusion Spam decks to do other things moving forward. And I think that's a good thing. All right, Baby Ceresaurus is my next card going to 2. Again, this is another card to put to 2 to keep the dinosaur decks in check, so they don't get too crazy, especially going forward into the Master Rule. Revision. All right, Dynamite Knight, the Trigger Fighter. This card is unlimited in the OCG. We still have it at 1. In my opinion, this card should have been brought back to at least 2 on the last ban list when Dragata Diagram went to 1. In my opinion, there should have been a little bit of a balance there just to make sure that the Trigger decks weren't too crippled. I got a feeling TCG Konami is going to treat the Dynamite Knight, the Trigger deck, and the rest of the Trigger stuff like they do with the Monarch support, and they're going to walk it off the list slowly. So I can definitely see Dynamite Knight being put to 2 at first. All right. Next card being put in at 2 is Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. Again, this is actually a pretty smart move without really outright killing the Salamangreat deck. Salamangreats aren't that overpowered. They don't really build that much big of boards. It's just that they can do things and recur their resources a lot consistently. Putting Sunlight Wolf to 2 does help that a little bit, primarily because when you reincarnate Sunlight Wolf, you're going to have to focus on bringing the first Sunlight Wolf back to your extra deck instead of other things. And that's really what's going to be the focal point of the deck when this hit happens. It's a smart hit. It kind of puts the recurability of the deck into a little bit more of a check. And I think it's just a good move moving forward. Now, speaking of moving forward with Monarch support, yes, Pantheism and Monarchs, definitely. I guess, again, TCG Konami walks off the Monarch support off the list slowly. They did it with all the other Monarch cards. They're going to do it now. We didn't get Pantheism down to last list because we got Power of Harvest back first. But now I can see Pantheism being walked down off the list slowly. The deck does need a little bit extra consistency boost, just being able to go into the cards to be able to play a little bit more. And it wouldn't be bad to have the Monarchs being mixed into the meta just as either a rogue or a tier 2 deck to be able to counter the meta with what they can do. All right. True King's Return, again, with all the hits to the dinosaur deck. This card coming back to 2, not a bad idea. It's unlimited in the OCG, really isn't having that much of an impact over there. So definitely something that I can see happening here. That's it for my semi-limits. We're going to go into the cards that I think will be coming off the list completely to full play sets. And the first one is Cyberstein. I basically hit pretty much all the FTK style cards on my ban section. So this card is pretty much safe to bring back to 3. It's not doing anything in OCG. It won't do anything here. I think we're all aware of what the Cyberstein OCK or FTK is like. And it really didn't take root because we were all prepared about it. So this going back to 3, I can definitely see. Deep Sea Diver, to be very honest, yes, could it be abused by Needle Fiber? Probably. But like I said, this card is normal summon. You can special summon 1 level 3 or lower Sea Serpent type monster from your deck. To be very honest, it's a normal summon. It's kind of like Torghast of the Underworld. The Deep Sea R-type is not doing anything over in the OCG. Mermels are not doing anything here. In the TCG with this card at 2, bring it off is not going to do anything. let's move on. And speaking of tour guide, yes, I can definitely see this coming down to unlimited standards, primarily because we are getting reprints of this card with alternate art in Dual Overload. So it will be a good marketing idea just for collectors to get playsets of the alternate art stuff in there. Um, it's really only useful in a handful of decks, and right now it's not even seeing any play. So bringing it back is not going to really do anything. The best BA deck right now is the Block Dragon variant, and I haven't seen anything using that card. So, yeah, it's safe to bring back the 3. Now the next 3 cards I have here are all what I consider to be cards that needed to be brought back to full playset capabilities in order to combat the meta post revision. All right, Skill Drain is the trap card that really can help put a lot of these spam decks in check, because since most of these spam decks are so monster heavy, just having blanket effect negation is a very good idea. I've seen arguments online saying, "Oh, well, the meta decks will also have this." Yeah, but here's the situation: if you're running a spam deck, you're going to basically be building a board with multiple negates, monster negates built into it. Why are you going to have a card in your deck that can basically shut them down? Meta decks are not going to make use of this card. What decks you're going to see making use of this card are going to be the rogues, and this it's going to help elevate a lot more rogue play post revision, and I think that's a better thing. All right, moving forward. Now this is something that I can definitely see meta decks getting used for, primarily because any monster sent to the graveyard is banished instead. And basically denying your opponent the ability to access resources in the graveyard does hurt a lot of decks. And this is something that I definitely can see being put to 3, especially if the final card that coming off the 3 does happen. And Maxi, yeah. Yeah, I know. This is one of the most polarizing cards in the game, but in my opinion, having Maxi at 3 is not a bad thing at all. It's at 3 over in the OCG, and it's pretty much one of the best hard counters you can have against combo heavy and spam deck that you can have anywhere, because basically you discard this card from your hand to the graveyard, and anytime your opponent special summons, you're drawing. So it either is going to force your opponent to cut their combos short and leave them with a less than stellar board, or they're going to play through and you're going to be able to get enough resources to break their boards. Furthermore, if Dimensional Fissure comes back to 3, it is a hard counter to Maxi as well, primarily because Maxi has to be sent to the graveyard. It isn't like the Ghost Girls, which have to be just discarded from your hand. The Ghost Girls don't care where they end up. Maxi does. So if you take away the graveyard from players trying to use Maxi, yes, you now have a hard counter to Maxi, and Maxi will be a hard counter to a lot of the meta decks in the game. And it'll just elevate a lot more other decks as well moving forward. Guys, that is it for my ban list predictions. I know I came down pretty hard on some of the decks. No, people aren't going to like it, but hey, this is what needs to happen to help put certain decks in the current meta in check, as well as get ahead of potential problems moving forward in the post-revision game. All right? Again, these are just my opinions on what I think should happen. I'm not sure what will happen, but hey, you know what? If some of these hits do happen, I will be happy, especially if Konami can get ahead of a lot of problems post-revision. So guys, as always, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss any uploads. Guys, check out the description box below. Find the link to my Discord server. Join the conversation. We would love to have you. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description box below. And if you want to help support my channel, consider using my TCG Player affiliate link down in the description box as well. Whenever you shop on TCG Player, guys, just use it in good health. Getting your cards. All right, TCG Player does love throwing a lot of sales on during Banlist season to really move product, and it does help the channel grow a little bit more moving forward. All right, guys, as always, until next time, peace.